Do you guys know how many trials it took for Thomas Edison to fail at so that he could finally come up with the light bulb? 1,000. Now it just seems like a number, but when you really think about it, 1,000 times is one hell of a number. Like, it's one hell of a commitment to go through 1,000 trials and not giving up. I mean, I'm 2 years in on YouTube and I've still not posted 250 videos yet. So you can imagine the commitment it takes to like go through something 1,000 times, failing. Well, until finally he came to the light bulb. So studies show that 15% of the time that you're going to be trying something out, like when you're trying to make something work, you'll fail at it 15% of the time. So it is inevitable. You are going to face failure in your life. You're going to experience negative emotion. You are going to find yourself in the gutter, in the mud, in the darkness. So what do you do when you're in that position? This is what I'm going to tell you. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lady Marichu and I help people step into their power. So what do you do? Number one, when you're in the mud, you need to build a protective wall around you, kwa sababu, have you ever had a heartbreak ama ukapoteza domo juu ya ufala? That moment you're usually very vulnerable. Alafu unajua hizo moments zenye uko down, hizo moments zenye umetry kitu na ukafail, your self esteem inashukanga kidogo, your self confidence goes down a little bit, and then that negative voice in your head that's like you're a failure, wewe hata ujuangi chenye unafanya, wewe ni mjinga, it becomes louder. The negativity becomes louder. So at this point you're like a tortoise, vulnerable, soft. So you need a shell to protect you from the world, because anything small can damage your spirit even further, because that is when you're at your weakest point. And also, if kama to get back up, you also need strength. Na hiyo time hauna strength, so you're supposed to give yourself a moment, some time. I like to isolate myself a little bit from the rest of the world. Ndio unajipatia time ya gather your strength and gather your resources so that you can be able to get back up again. It's like a caterpillar when it's trying to transform itself into a butterfly. Kwanza lazima ijenge a cocoon, cocoon, so that it has the conducive space to like shed itself and transform itself into a phenomenal butterfly. So you also need that for yourself. Also, this protective shield can also be, if you have a loving family, maybe this is the time for you to visit them, because at this point is a point where you need tender loving care, you need positive vibes, you need people who are going to take care of you. And where else can you find that if it's not from your family, or maybe from your partner, or maybe from friends who are those positive people who are going to uplift you and give you strength again? Like, this is the point. Just, and also this protective layer around you can also be like the kind, maybe uko na playlist ya nyimbo zenye ukiplay unaplayingi ukiwa down, ukiziplay rejuvenate. Ama it could be even movies, like maybe you have a list of movies where when you're down you watch them and then you become fine again. It could be as easy as that. Siri, it's to know yourself. Yeah, so that is number one. Jijue and know that this time in your life you're very vulnerable, so you need to protect yourself from negative people. This is not the time for you to go out with wale friends wako wenye mnashikanaga, mnaenda mnavuruga, mna gamble, mnajiwezi. This is not the time to be with those kind of people. This is the time where you need to protect yourself. And also, when you expose yourself to people who are like attacking you, or to negative people, you see that there's already negativity in you, there's already low self-esteem in you. So unaona ikikuwa kubwa, it becomes even worse for you, and you might end up doing something that's going to make you feel even worse, you know. That's number one. Number two, So now from number one, you have, you know, isolated yourself, yani umejieka kwa environment yenye inakunacha, yenye ni poa kwako. So what do you do? Number two, remind yourself who you are. Believe it or not, point I borrowed it from a cartoon, from an animation called Moana. For those of you who don't know, in like short form, Moana is literally a little girl from an island who is given, who is tasked by the ocean to restore the heart of Tafiti, and she has to travel through the ocean to go and restore the heart of Tafiti. So in a happening, there's this one time she's in the middle of the ocean, she's alone, but then she's heartbroken, she has lost hope, she has forgotten why she started this journey in the first place. You know, she was like, everybody was telling her not to go, her parents told her not to go because she escaped. Her parents had told her not to go to the sea, but she was just headed and she continued to go. Now she's alone, the only companion she has is a chicken, a dumb stupid chicken. Alafu the heart of Tafiti has fallen into the sea, and now she's there, she's like, I'm not even going to get this heart of Tafiti. She's just down at this moment. So what happens next is that the spirit of her grandmother, now she's her spirit guide, and she's trying to, you know, give Moana back her motivation and her inspiration. She appears to Moana and asks her, Moana, who are you? Do you know who you are? And so Moana starts to remember. I am a girl who loves my island and a girl who loves the sea. It calls me. I am the daughter of a village chief. We are descended from voyages. We find a way across the world. They call me. I've delivered us to where we are. I have journeyed further. I am everything I've learned and more. Still it calls me. And the call isn't out there at all. It's inside me. It's like the tide, always falling and rising. I will carry you here in my heart. You remind me that come what may, I know the way. I am Moana. Yeah, la, la, la. So yeah, this is the next thing that you're supposed to do. Remind yourself, what is important to me? What are my priorities? What do I love? Who are the people that are the most important to me? What are the things that are most important to me, so that I don't sabotage them? Like, this is the moment where you start to decide, who am I? Who do I want to be? You know, what kind of a person do I want to be? Like, where do I want to be? What is my vision? What was I working towards? Even if this bad thing has happened to me, what do I want to be remembered for? Like, because a lot of the times when we are down, we kind of lose perspective. We forget who we are, we forget our vision, we forget our goals. So when you bring them back to focus, when you bring yourself back to focus, when you start to focus on your vision again, things start making sense, and then it becomes easier to like plan what is my next step. And also another thing is that remind yourself of the things that gives you strength. Like in this story, obviously Moana gets her power and her strength from her ancestors, from her grandmother. Like, those are the things that give her strength. What about you? Who are the people that give you strength? Is it your mother? Is it your father? Is it your ancestors? God? This is the moment where you're supposed to go back and be in communion with them, because they're going to remind you of your power. They're going to remind you who you are. They're going to remind you that you are carrying generations on your back. So so that you can get yourself back up. Like, after Moana remembered who she was, you see, she dove back into the ocean, akaenda na akachukua the heart of Tafiti, and she was pumped up, and she's like, yes, we're going to restore this heart of Tafiti, come what may. And then she says, like, that call, the motivation, the inspiration, it's like the tide. It falls and it rises. So when you're focused, when you have like a sense of purpose, sometimes like you lose focus. Sometimes the intensity of your motivation is strong, sometimes it's not there. So when it's down, when you don't have inspiration, when you've forgotten what you're supposed to do, you're only supposed to remind yourself, bring the tide back up. That's it. That's what you do. For number 2, remind yourself who you are. Remind yourself of what you are made of, and of where you are going, and of what is at stake if you don't pull yourself together and rise up. Number 3, this is very important. Number 3, when you're downtrodden, when you're feeling like you are a failure, when things are so bleak, when you're in that space, in that web of negativity, I repeat, do not make any decision, because you're not in your right space, you're not in your right mind. So the decisions that you tend to make, they are reactionary, and if you are staying, you will not have made those decisions. And most times the decisions that we make at that time are usually self-sabotaging. Like juicy, I saw this meme of a person who was saying that they had 3 shillings left in the M-Pesa, and they were like, na nataka hii 3 shilling nimuongezee, inanisumbua, nataka tu nikae hivyo sina kitu, yani zilch, zero. Cause at some point we usually like, it doesn't matter anyway, what matters? Nothing matters. I've lost all this money, I might as well lose all this other money that I have. A sense of hopelessness, evil. So you place yourself in an even worse situation than you were in before. So when you're in that space, make sure not to make any decisions, and also make sure not to like get into relationships at that time, because at that moment you're usually looking for something that is going to kind of console you. You're getting into a relationship for the wrong reasons. So when you're down, it's not the time to start relationships, it's not the time to like make the financial decisions, it's just not the time, because we tend to be self-sabotaging at that point. Because in your mind you're like, okay, I'm a failure, so the things that you're going to do, they are going to be things that are going to affirm to yourself that yes, you're a failure. You're going to do things that are going to prove to you that you're a failure, because at that moment you believe you're a failure. So don't make any decisions when you're in that web, in that mud. That's the time to collect yourself and your resources to get back up. It's not the time to start making decisions. Number 4, now for you to do this, you have to be very brave, and it is this: make sure to feel your pain. Sawa. If you got yourself into a toxic friendship, if you got yourself into a toxic relationship, if you made a bad investment, make sure to feel the pain of that loss that you're having, so that you can remember, so that in future when you want to get into that situation again, you can remember, hey, that was so painful, I am not going to repeat that. A lot of the things, when we are going through emotional pain, people tend to like distract themselves from it, like you're trying to numb them. This is not the time for you to be alcohol induced all the time. Like isi time ya kujidistract na maklabu na watu na situationships na sijui nini. Sit down, feel that pain, go through it. Like in this life, there's no shortcuts. If you want to heal, you have to feel the pain. If you want success, you have to work hard. You have to go through the fire to get to the other side. There's no shortcut. Unajua kwetu home kuko na hii box ya ya stima hii yenye inaekangwa nje, it is all metal and it's so huge. So when it was first put there, ukitoka kwa nyumba, like kila time unagongwa and it's so painful. But what happens when you gongwa the first time, the second time, the third time ukipita hapa, your head automatically bends because it remembers how painful it was to go through, to be gongwad by that something. So if you numb your emotions, if you distract yourself from feeling them, you're not going to have that memory of that pain. So in future, you'll find yourself getting yourself into such situations again, kwa sababu hauna hiyo kitu kwa mwili yako yenye inakukumbusha, you remember how this was painful. So make sure to feel the pain, learn the lessons, sit down and ask yourself, what did I do wrong? How did I mess? What was my mistake? Take accountability and then be like, what could I have done to not be in this situation? What can I do to not get myself into this situation again? What is going to be my next step? Go through the entire process, babe. Go through. Cry, weep, trash your house, be angry at yourself, go through it. That's the only way you're going to come out of the other side victorious and having learned that lesson. So number 5, the last point that I feel like we all forget to do when things have gone for you, mrama. What do? Let go and let God. Wacha kukua so nini, you're trying to correct something that is already beyond your control. Relax. What is done is done. Maji yakishamwagika hayazoleki. Okay? And also look at the things around you that are going good. Practice gratitude. Mazee, hata kama shit imefanyika, kuna vitu zingine mzuri uko nazo kwa hiyo maisha yako. So look at them and focus on those things. And also leave everything to God. Leave everything to the universe, babe. You don't always have to be kila time unang'ang'ana ku make situations work for you. You're trying to make, people do the things that you want them to do. Si lazima kila time. Sometimes just relax. Let go and let God. Listen to some good music. Let go and let God. Listen to some good music. Relax. To take a walk. Watch a movie. Nini. Vitu zitajipanga. As long as you've done all the steps, nimekuambia step 1, 2, 3, 4. Ukishafanya hizo vitu zote, relax. Anyway, that is all I had for you today. If you've liked this video, like, subscribe, and share. I love you. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you do to deal with those times in your life when you're down, when your things have gone for you, mrama. What do you do? Bye.